And welcome back to episode 80 of the Weekly Tech Rant with me, Jay.
And me, Carl.
Well, Carl, it has been a busy world. A busy world? Yes, it's been a very busy world. It's been a very busy week in the world of cybersecurity this week is what I was trying to say.
It's been a roller coaster.
It has indeed. And, we've been following suit on the big stories of the week, which we're going to cover tonight. And, we're also post-COVID. So I am COVID-free, thankfully. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yes,
I'm double negative, COVID-free. It's awesome.
Over and done with what ended up being double COVID all round, wasn't it? So, yes, it was not good. So, as I said, it has been a busy week in the world of cybersecurity, I managed to say it this time. And we're going to cover a follow-up from a story we talked about last week around this Lapsus gang or group, whatever you want to call them, who have been very busy, actually, in the last 7 days and have kind of upped
They have a work ethic, don't they?
They really do, actually. Quite impressive. But we're also going to cover some acquisitions this evening. We're going to talk rockets. We're going to talk Apple. Yes, Apple again. And we might even talk some games. And we're also going to give you a bit of a change of pace and talk about Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Picard Season 2 and 4, respectively, which are, one of them has finished, one is underway. And, our thoughts as we like to peruse the best of Star Trek on this show. But first, let's get into the main stories of the week. So, talking acquisitions then. So, again, Google has been back out and about splashing the cash in, hasn't it?
They have. They bought what we talked last week. They bought all those audio companies and Mandiant, didn't they? So not quite as much money, we don't think, as Mandiant, but no figure on this one. But they have bought a company called Raxium, who they're a startup, 5-year-old small company who make micro LED displays used in augmented and mixed reality devices. Although they haven't actually released a commercial product yet, have they? So it's still in a kind of design phase.
Yeah, I was going to say they're kind of one of these companies that have got products, but yeah, like you say, haven't really released anything. The technology is the product, isn't it? I suppose rather than commercial.
It is,
aspects. But I mean, Google and AR really haven't got a particularly good history.
Checkered history.
I mean, as one of the sources of this article was one on Ars Technica, wasn't it? And there was a headline in that, which I think is brilliant, of this particular article. It says the VR and AR contribute a lot to the Google graveyard. Yes, the Google graveyard of failed products or products that have just become unloved have been sent out and put to pasture. Google got one.
We had Google Cardboard, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
That's what you use the phone for. We're using, is it Google Daydream, wasn't it?
That's right. So Google Cardboard was that you could fold it up a kit, wasn't it? You could get and put your phone in there, and you got like a VR headset of sorts. Daydream was a standalone, more I guess want to say more commercial headset, wasn't it? It was a classic, very nice looking though. It had that sort of, they have it on the Google Nest hubs, isn't it? That kind of like checkered,
that mesh fabric kind of thing.
Plastic, yeah, all around it. And you kind of clipped your phone into it, didn't you? And it was had a remote control and a bit more classy affair.
More substance to it.
Yeah, definitely. You probably could pick one up on eBay.
And of course, Google Glass for AR.
Yes, Google Glass for AR. Yep, again, that let's not go there. But yes, the Raxium have been purchased to help bolster their AR support, to help them build mixed reality devices. Again, as you say, there's no word on what they're going to be doing with them. There's no idea of what capable products are here, but clearly Google see that.
I imagine it's going into, is it Project Iris? I think we've talked about in the past. That's their alleged new AR headset.
Yes, that's like is that the alleged like Apple headset? Then in the same product set.
That's the one. And everyone wants a bit of micro LED. So it's the in technology for VR headsets because you get the kind of color reproduction of OLED, but also the fast response times of LCDs.
Well, clearly they see value in it, don't they? I guess it's something they're going to move on. We all know everybody's moving to AR VR. It's it doesn't matter who you are, what product you make, what technology you have. AR VR is the stuff of dreams, isn't it?
It's the metaverse.
Don't say it. I was trying not to say it. But yes, it is the metaverse. But I guess soon I suppose we'll have a kind of TVs with AR capability, won't we? Built in. You better lift up and You'll see, I think stuff pop out your TV, I suppose, like that. And, there's all
Yeah.
kinds of things, isn't there, that could happen here around that. But I don't know. I still don't think we're ready for it full time yet. Um, there are
No.
commercial applications. When you look at some of the AR, like the billboards that do AR, they're quite clever, aren't they? Where the projection-y stuff like comes out the building, doesn't it? You see, there was that one with a
Oh
lion,
yeah.
wasn't there? Do you remember? I can't remember where that was. There was a lion, wasn't there? That was kind of like prowling around the side of a building, but
That was
because
it.
of
Yeah.
the projection of it was a 3D model. So yeah, I definitely think there's room for those kind of stuff. But yeah, AR, I think in the house, in the home, is still limited at this stage. Though Google do a good line of AR. Have you seen their the Google animals that you can do?
No.
So Google have an AR animal. So if you go to like on the Google search, yeah, and you like um, search for I think like a tiger or something, or I don't know, great white shark, it pops up a list of 3D animals, and then you can get your phone and you click the button, put a camera, and it and it and
Okay.
it and it does AR and shows the tiger, lion, whatever shark in your house or in front of you in life size.
Oh, nice. No, I had not seen that one. I might have to play with that
Yes.
later.
Yeah, it's quite clever. You just have to go to google.com, search and search for the animals, or there's a
Cool.
list of them. I think if you do a list of 3D animals, there's I think about sort of 20, 30 of them. Even a
Ah,
unicorn.
interesting. Even a unicorn.
Yes. So
Nice.
Google are the only people though this week who have been spending money as well, haven't they? We've also had some cybersecurity cash splashes outside of the Mandiant deal. Sentinel One, who are Sentinel One, a pretty up and coming endpoint security organization, aren't they? So they're well, how long have they been around now? I was trying to look this up. 5 years, something like that. Maybe a bit longer than that.
Oh, I'm not sure.
But they, yeah. Sorry, but actually, 2013. I take it back. So nearly 10
Bit longer,
years.
yeah.
Yeah. So they technically they're a startup still. I
Yeah.
think if you've been around for 10 years, you're not a startup.
Mm,
Um,
it's debatable, isn't it?
um,
You're just maybe just a small company.
Yeah, so they do a lot of machine learning within their endpoint security. They cover, classic endpoints. They do IoT,
Yeah.
they do cloud workloads. So they're quite impressive company. Got a lot of press recently, but they've just made an acquisition of what's it? How we pronounce it? Ativo Networks. Is that?
Ativo Networks. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. So yeah.
So who are an identity? Oh god, I can't. Brain isn't
They're an
working.
identity threat detection response
Thank you.
company.
That was the word I was looking for. Which XDR, isn't it? Or that kind of
Oh no,
stuff.
that's Sentinel
Oh,
One. So
sorry.
Sentinel One
Sentinel One
extended
XDR.
visibility. So XDR is what do they call it? Extended detection and response. So that's about bringing in all scanning the network, bringing all your logs, trying to detect stuff before it happens or as it's happening. So obviously there's Ativa who does the same kind of thing with identity threat detection. Kind of plugging that into the XDR product makes good sense.
Thank you. Do you know what? I had it written on my notes here, and I knew what XDR is. When you're kind of reading something, and you just the words are like, "That's not the right
Just
order."
gibberish.
But yes, identity is a hot topic. We have talked about identity quite a lot in the last year, and we're going to talk a bit more about identity in just a minute. But yeah, XDR is the way forward now. We're away from the classic traditional signature based AV that is dead in the ground.
Oh yeah.
XDR is the way forward. Zero trust security. And that threat detection and threat detection and response is
Yep.
how red teams and blue teams today protect organizations. And Sentinel One are up there along with people like CrowdStrike,
Yeah.
Trellix, who I discovered are the name for McAfee and FireEye, aren't they? Which is like, who the hell is
They
Trellix?
are. Yeah.
And they're getting into it, but Ativo were about the same. I didn't realize they were about the same age, so they were 11 years old. They weren't quite as big as Sentinel One. I think they were kind of less than $100
No.
million in VC funding over the time, but clearly it fits well with Sentinel One's product lineup and what they want to do here, and it's going to
Yeah.
really kind of round out their portfolio, I think, based on what they're suggesting it's going to do there. But cybersecurity is still a hot topic, isn't it? And
It is.
last year in 2021 there were over $77 billion worth of acquisitions in that industry.
Wowza.
I guess second only probably to gaming industries at the moment.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of money going on there at the moment.
But yeah, so zero trust is absolutely key for pretty much all organizations. So, the basis of, identity and access to verify users, it's a least privilege, isn't it? So rather than being saying you've got all the rights, it's a case of, well, we'll give you the rights you need to do your job or access to application or tool set, and off you go. And today, if you use single sign-on, many organizations do, where you have an entity provider, you sign in. That's the whole part of zero trust proposition. So yeah, nice play there, Sentinel One, and I'm sure Ativo is going to fit nicely into your portfolio lineup. I look forward to seeing what you do with them in the near future. But talking of cybersecurity, as I
Yeah.
said in the warm-up, the Lapsus gang group organization, whatever we're going to call them, have been rather busy, haven't they, again?
They are on a roll at the moment. So, not only have they hacked out Nvidia, Ubisoft, Samsung, among others, we have two more big names to add to that list.
Oh, they have been whales.
Microsoft, and not necessarily the biggest, but arguably the biggest impact, Okta, who are a single sign-on identity provider. Used
Zero
by
trust.
about what? Zero trust, or don't trust them. Yeah. They're used by what? 15,000 organizations, apparently. So when we get to speaking about the Okta breach, it could have wide ramifications.
Yeah, I think so. Well, and stress there could, I think, is have that in inverted
Yeah.
commas there, based on some of the fallout there. But yeah, I think so. The first kind of big thing that broke before the Okta story was Microsoft's is investigating Lapsus boast or claim, I should say, of
Yeah.
source code. So the 37 gig of data had been reported to a source code being stolen from Microsoft and has
Yeah.
been leaked. And that includes, keep me honest here, Carl, that includes Bing, Cortana, Edge, as well as
Big
some
Map.
codes, Bing Maps, and some code signing certificates as well, isn't there, in there?
Yes. It's run around Twitter that allegedly they have multiple code sign certificates from Microsoft. So, I mean, it was bad enough having the Nvidia ones, but yeah, Microsoft is everywhere.
Yeah, and this, this is particularly concerning, because Microsoft have stated publicly that they're fully aware of the claims from the Lapsus Group. They are investigating, and what has come transpired is that on the Telegram channel that Lapsus have to promote themselves. I mean, everybody needs PR, I guess.
Yeah.
They posted screenshots of them breaking into Microsoft's internal development environment, which, as you say, showed engineering projects, Bing, Cortana source code. Those have already been deleted though off the Telegram channel, haven't they? Apparently, according to some sources.
The screenshots. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
again,
that was a taster.
it is a taster. So again, this is another large claim from them, following on from the Nvidia strike, where they said that they stole over a terabyte of data, which they've been posting and drip feeding. Some of that has been cross-verified with third parties, hasn't it, on the net. We've also seen Samsung raid. Again, there was nearly 200 gig of data stolen from Samsung, which included Galaxy source code. And there also was Ubisoft, wasn't it? It was the other one. Ubisoft was the other. Was a big one there as well. Plus, again, the breaches with all of the telcos that they were doing in around South America, particularly Brazil.
Yeah.
Now, Microsoft is overly concerning, not because nobody is impenetrable. I think that's the claim. We've got to be very clear here.
No, not at all.
But obviously, to hit such a whale of a target as Microsoft and steal, the source codes to their products is quite concerning.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. It's no small feat, though, is it?
No,
it's not. The mind boggles, but I think the Okta hack might have something to do with it. It might have a lot to do with a lot of these hacks they've done recently. It might be the source of it, but we say might because we don't know for sure, and it's kind of an ongoing story, the Okta one.
Well, yeah, I guess that's probably a good segue to kind of to talk about it. So yeah, so news broke yesterday, didn't it? Publicly, I should say, that
Was it only yesterday? It seems like it's been forever.
Well, I think some of the screenshots started to leak in the last 24 hours, really, didn't they?
Yeah.
of Lapsus had posted to the Telegram channel screenshots of what they claimed at the time to be screenshots of Okta's internal environment, their Slack channels. There was access to
Super admin
customer
account.
super
Yep.
admin account, customer information, as well as other data that they said.
Yeah.
I've got to pause there for a second because this is a claim by Lapsus that is
Yes.
disputed by Okta themselves, isn't it? So I think it's probably a good point here to kind of, I guess,
Yeah.
be very clear that Okta actually admit that there was a potential attack, wasn't there, back in January?
Do they? Their story has changed multiple times over the last 24 hours. And
Well,
even now,
okay.
the latest statements contradict themselves within the
Well,
own same statement.
well, that's the worry, isn't it? So if we go back, then let's go back to yesterday,
Yeah.
when Todd McKinnon, isn't it, who's the CEO of Okta,
Yeah.
posted a statement saying that yes, we were fully aware of a breach back in January, wasn't it? Saying that they were aware of a
Yeah.
breach. It was linked back to a third-party customer support engineer working for
Yep. A
working for a
sub-processor.
subprocessor subcontracting company, and it was contained within that incident. They were fully aware of it. They
Yep.
did investigation. There was no lateral movement, and they said that it was basically, they closed it down, didn't they?
Yeah, they said look, they believe the screenshots are from those dates, and there's no evidence of ongoing malicious activity beyond the one detected in January. But then, very shortly after, they put out a second statement a bit later in the day, didn't they? Just basically saying that the Okta service has not been breached, remains fully operational. That no corrective actions that need to be taken by their customers, and they restated that they detected an unsuccessful attempt to compromise the account of a customer support engineer working for a third-party provider. Well, and also they clarified that these support engineers kind of have a limited access to data. They could access Jira tickets and lists of users, and they could reset passwords and multi-factor authentication for users. And they obviously said that it's only been for 5 days. Well, Lapsus kind of poked a bit of fun out of this one, didn't they?
Yeah, yes, yeah, basically.
And they just tore the statement apart. They said, well, one, you stated it's a third-party contractor's laptop. It was actually a Fin client, so you can't even get the basics right. How can you say it's unsuccessful if we got access to the super user admin account? I kind of agree with that one, really.
Yep.
How
Again,
can you say it's an unsuccessful hack if they've got screenshots of access to the super user admin accounts? Say that's a pretty successful hack, wouldn't you?
it is. I mean, the other thing, I guess, though, that that you have to be, I guess, be aware of here is that there was another factor to this story, isn't there, as well? That
Yeah.
Lapsus themselves had actually been recruiting people, hadn't they? So
Yeah.
they had Microsoft posted on their blog on the 22nd, yesterday, from the Microsoft Intelligence Center. They posted a blog around what they're calling dev-0537, which is a group which is also known as
Yep.
Lapsus. And they've mentioned that Lapsus is known for pure exploitation and destruction model without deploying ransomware payloads, and that they were
Yeah.
originally started targeting customers in the United Kingdom and South America, but expanded. What they've said is Microsoft said that they've known to take over individual user accounts at crypto exchanges as well and drain holdings. Now, what they also discovered was that they had been posting recruitment jobs at Lapsus
Yeah.
Jobs, asking for employees or insiders at following companies, and they were any communications, and they had Telefonica, Clara, AT&T, large
Yep.
corporations, Microsoft, Apple,
Yep.
EA, IBM, other, and then they also went on to say people like call centers and server hosts such as OVH, local web.
Yep.
We're not looking for data. We're looking for the employee to provide us a VPN or Citrix to the network or any desk. And then it goes
Yep.
on to say, if you're not an employee but you have access, then we're still interested. If you're not sure if you're needed, drop us a DM. We'll respond and we'll pay you. I mean, talk about job
If you
adverts.
want.
Yeah. So they've also seen them do SIM swapping as well here. So this,
Yeah.
these guys are gaining access. So what you have to ask here with this particular third party is, was this an exploitation? Did they hack it? Or is this an insider access? Now, there have been people posting across the web, whoever this third party is,
Yeah.
their names. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to reference that at all
No.
because that's not right. But yeah, I think there is more to this claim than
Of course.
Okta are
And
giving
they
it
did go
credit.
on to say that in their countermeasure. They said well, one, they say that your company supports zero trust. Why do you support engines seem to have an awful lot of access? For example, this one person had access to 8,500 Slack channels, internal ones.
Yeah.
They say that you've claimed this laptop was compromised, but in that case, surely you can give us some information around suspicious IP addresses, IOCs, which kind of leads into what you're saying, that the fact it's probably not a compromised laptop. They probably just paid someone off for access. Yeah. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, you're committed to transparency. Why don't you hire an independent firm like Mandiant and actually publish a report? I'm sure it'll be very different from your report.
Well, this is it, isn't it? Because Okta themselves and their chief security officer put the statement out, wasn't it? Today, the updated one today, as you say, that gave a whole timeline from January the 20th to yesterday. And in that statement, he states that I'm greatly disappointed by the long period of time that transpired from our notification to the third party, who
Yeah.
is Sitel. So I will say it because they've said it, and the issue of complete investigation report. And they're saying that on reflection, they should have, once they got the report from them, they should have moved more swiftly. So
Yeah.
did they? I mean, you got to ask yourself: did they not believe this? Did they not see a threat here?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, Lapsus are still saying we've had access for 2 whole months, not 5 days.
But
But even
Okta
if
is
you
saying,
found this back
yeah.
in January, surely you should have put out an alert pretty much immediately saying we've potentially been compromised, change your passwords, whatever, while we investigate. But to say just nothing for 2 months and only reply when you got called out.
And then it goes on to say, doesn't it, in that statement, that they've tried to work out what they say is the blast radius for this, and that
Yeah.
the examined all of the access performed by all of the Sitel employees to the super user application for 5 days in period in question, and they've analysed over 125,000 log entries, and what they've determined is 366 customers could be impacted.
Yeah, I mean, they updated their updated statement, didn't they, a few hours later, saying that. And again, they keep restating that no corrective action is needed by our customers. But yeah, then they go and basically say that approximately 2.5% of our customers may have
Yeah,
had their data accessed.
which is the 360. Yeah, so
But it's
if you're
okay,
one
we
of
haven't been compromised.
if you're one of those 366 customers, surely by now you'd want to know, or well, you'd hope to be that you've been contacted. That's the aim
They
of it.
say they have, yes.
And where do you go from here? Because the whole thing, the whole premise of Okta, isn't it? And the other companies like them, like Ping, One Login, etc.,
Yeah.
and also Microsoft in a funny kind of way, isn't it? With
Yeah, it was
with the deal
strange to see Microsoft, because Microsoft are a customer of Okta, even though they have Azure SSO.
Yeah, but again, that's another weird. That's another whole story, I guess.
Yeah.
For years, IT teams have been told, don't run AD on premise, don't try and do federated access, through, trying to get people to sign in and everything. Don't get everybody to sign up, for every different account. What you need is identity and access provider who can do single sign on through a single, identity provider such as Okta or whoever. That's
Yeah.
the simple way to do it. One password, best way. Put it in the cloud. You can see loads of organizations now going, why the hell have we done this? Because actually, we've just compromised ourselves, or we've, allowed ourselves to be compromised because we've given ourselves a single point of failure. And I suppose, the argument is, yes, I'm playing devil's advocate, but,
Yeah.
Was it any safer before? I don't know. Is it any safer now?
I don't know. There's that argument that most users just use the same password but change the number on the end.
Well, yeah, that's a whole, yeah.
So, yes, you're having, mind you, if you've got one decent password with a multi-factor authentication, it's better than what you had before. I don't know. I suppose there are multiple arguments either way here.
The other thing I guess you have to look at this point is this: what access did this super admin really have to, I don't know, company XYZ's tenant?
Yeah.
Because surely, as a SaaS company here, you shouldn't just be able to stroll into your customer's tenant and access their systems, because that, in theory, would mean that you then have to create an account on their back end. And surely that shouldn't be the case, because it would be one thing saying that as a SaaS, I mean, you and I both work at SaaS companies.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I know that it is possible for customer admins, customer support admins, I should stress,
Yep.
to legitimately access your customer information from the
Yes.
back
Yes,
end,
it is.
uh, and that's through legitimate reasons and with the customer's knowledge to access, to try and troubleshoot, to do things. That doesn't mean though that they can access the whole of the customer infrastructure and back end there, especially from an identity and access perspective, because there are federated services here. You are talking to other platforms, which could be AD, it could be other, LDAP sources, for example.
Yep.
I'm just thinking, where's the lateral movement here? And I appreciate there are probably
Well, I
sub
suppose it
experts.
depends. You can use platforms like Okta and Ping to create users on your other system. Your Okta becomes
Yeah,
your
true.
single source
Yeah.
of truth. You create the account there, give it the privilege of, I don't know, VPN, for example, and it gets automatically created in your Cisco VPN system. Great, I've now got access to that, and I start that moving through the network.
Well, I suppose that's it. Yeah, you're right. If you're doing it that way, as you say, to keep Optus, the single source of truth, yeah, you're going to have those concerns. I suppose it is going to spin up accounts or uh, give privileges where they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But I guess then, well, no, I suppose at that point the multi-factor authentication piece is also corrupted, isn't it? Because you could then gain access to create
Well,
tokens
yeah, if
on.
you've used it to create a new account, you can put your own MFA on there, can't you?
Yeah, that's it. This, it was, I guess, what we're seeing here, and worst case scenario, and again, we must stress, from the Octa's point of view, is as far as they are concerned and are telling publicly, there has not been a breach in the sense of a full-on, customer database drop. And
Yeah.
actually, Lapsus themselves said that, didn't they? They weren't after Octa's data.
Yeah, they said Lapsus said they haven't taken any of Okta's data. They're obviously using it as a way to access other systems.
Yeah, they weren't interested in Octa per se, were they? Um,
No.
which made me laugh. They were like, we didn't, we were after your customers.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
weren't big enough that we actually wanted your data. We just want access to your customers. Yeah.
you were the stepping stone. But this was just a matter of time, I think, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was. I think this is the first big one, and I'm sure there are going to be more revelations to come here because I hate to say it, Lapsus' story keeps staying the same and Octa's keeps changing, which is not a great look for a security company. I mean, it sounds like they're just finding out as they go along.
It's a tough way to do a breach notification, though, isn't it?
It's not the way you should be doing it.
No, no. But I mean,
No.
can you imagine? I mean, to be honest with you, you wouldn't want to be in that blue team at Okta right now, would you? I mean, because that is not something you want to wake up to.
No, you wouldn't want to be in the sales team either, though, would you?
No, that's going to be a very hard sell for a few weeks. If you're in the middle of any sales
Sales
deals, which
cycles.
let's be honest, but they probably were. Lots of them were. There's probably some very tough conversations being had there, and you and I both know people there, so
Oh,
certainly
yeah, yeah. I had quite a few people there.
we don't want to no disparagement there at all. It is a very good company. I want to stress that. Have a lot of time and respect for the company, and this is not necessarily their fault per se, but this is definitely an eye opener to how they operate with their third
Yeah,
parties.
it's not been handled well.
No, no. It is probably an example of how not to do things. But again, we are. It is just it's a, like you say, fast moving situation, and things are going to come out over time. But yeah, Lapsus are not finished here by any standard. We are going to see more from them. But it's kind of another viewpoint here, though, isn't there? From the point of view is that who are Lapsus? What are they doing? Because early indications were that they were not particularly professional. They were
No.
hitting targets locally within what appeared to be South America at the time, but now they're out there, hunting whales,
Gunning for everyone.
and they seem to be, very very technically proficient.
Yep.
They're not doing damage to the sense of, they're not, this isn't ransomware, they're not dropping, like a WannaCry,
Yeah, they're not disabling systems as such.
this is like armed robbery. They're kicking the doors in, they're grabbing the stuff, and they're out the other
Yep.
side before anybody really works out what's going on, isn't it? But it's a
Yeah.
bit more finesse than that, because they're upfront about it, as we just said. They're looking for ways in through insiders. They are publicly announcing what they've done. They're dropping those screenshots to say, well, actually, you're lying. We did do this.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of social engineering going on here as well, isn't there? There's,
There is, yeah.
the swim stopping. There's personal accounts. They're targeting people. We've just said they're paying. There's probably a supply chain issue here as well. There's definitely something happening here. What I think the concern for a lot of organizations is now the insider risk, because of the fact that they've said they'll pay.
Oh, yeah.
But ultimately, who are they and what are they doing is the question. I do wonder, are we seeing a nation state here? I'm not suggesting it is any nation state per se, but what I'm kind of getting at is that
Yeah.
it's almost like those early ones were kind of just a bit like, I
They're a
don't know,
ruse.
yeah, testing the water kind of thing, and now it's bang, 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 bang,
But
and they keep
those
on.
early ones are all around South America. Was that just a setup to make it look like they're a South American gang?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone can appear to be from South America with a VPN.
Well, and that's the thing, isn't it? They expanded their tax. They initially, in the early, from the Microsoft investigation, says that the early attacks were early on were cryptocurrency thefts, but then it moved into the telecoms industry within South
Yeah.
America, and now, yeah, it's way above that. It's huge. What are we going to see next? Are we going to see governments? Are we going to see utilities? And what is the end game here? Because they're just dropping data. They're not going, give us $1 million, whatever, or tell us do this. They are
Well,
just
not that we've seen. It came out about Nvidia, but I believe they did the same to Samsung. They wanted a ransom. Maybe we've just not heard about it from Okta and Microsoft yet.
no. I mean, you're not really going to. I mean, Microsoft are not going to go play ransom games, are they? Let's be honest.
No, not at all.
Not. It's like being in the cage with a gorilla. Can I have the banana, please? No. It's like,
No, you could become the banana, but you're not having the banana.
it's they're not going to do it. Just is it's a very interesting. But when you read through it, they're going for the same. They're going for many vulnerabilities. Typically, in operations DevOps stuff, so Confluence, Jira, were things like where they're going for.
Yeah.
They were going through other known, recovery things. So again, social engineering to beat password recovery tools.
Okay. Yeah.
What's your mother's maiden name, that kind of stuff. So classic stuff. A lot of this is standard techniques, but I think it's just the aim here. We're not seeing, this isn't like Anonymous, is it? Like, we are here to ruin your day.
Yeah.
There doesn't appear, at least publicly at this time, does there, to be an outcome here, a target.
No, there doesn't.
It is. I just find it odd, and maybe it's just puzzling. And it's
Yeah. What is that end game?
yeah. What is the end game? Like you say, you compromise Nvidia, you steal a terabyte of their data. You make a demand to remove crypto mining, well, and open source drivers. Okay,
Yeah.
but then you break into Samsung and steal the source codes for for phones, and when you break into Ubisoft, you again have a stroll around, their systems and that, and have a wander past, disrupting some of the online stuff. And again with Okta, again you don't care about Okta. You're after what their customers are. So
Yeah, it's the access it gives you.
yeah, yeah. It's very puzzling, isn't it? Because the timing of it, given the situation in Ukraine, which of course is still ongoing terribly, would you could say it's like a Russian operation here, but it's too obvious. That's just too obvious, isn't
Yeah.
it? The other ones you could say would be North Koreans, but if it was North Korean, you'd expect more of the extortion, more of the money side of things in based
especially
on the
around
experience.
crypto.
Yeah, because typically that's what a lot of their deals have been. Their attacks have been done because they need the money. So extortion has been the big play there for a lot of them. It is just puzzling, I think, here with this that there's no clear, at least as I say, I must stress, no publicly clear reason. But I don't know. It's a very, very peculiar situation, and bad news for all of the people, obviously, that have been affected. I'm going to breathe now.
All right, well, I'll pick up the next one then. So, a bit of a move away from cybersecurity. NASA has finally rolled out the SLS, the Space Launch System, haven't they?
Yes, the super large. I was going to say shuttle, but it's not.
No, it's not. No, it's a launch system. But yeah, they've trundled it out on its 11-hour journey to the primary launch pad, didn't they?
39B.
For a wet dress rehearsal. So it's going to sit there until April. Well, they'll basically get it ready for complete launch, and then they kill it at 9 seconds, don't they? Somewhere around there before they actually light the main engines. Yeah, it's a big boy.
It is one hell of a rocket. So this is, as you say, the SLS, the space launch system. Classy naming there, NASA, classy. Which will launch the Artemis
1,
which is all part of that, as you say, dress rehearsal, which ultimately will take the Orion capsule and the crew at some point in the next couple of years,
and 10 CubeSats.
Thank you, to the moon. When it does launch, so the Artemis mission, which is that the uncrewed one, is it? That's the first one.
Yeah, it's the uncrewed one. This is scheduled for it's sometime this summer, I think July.
Yeah, so that's going to launch. That is going to take the uncrewed Orion capsule all the way to the moon, do a little loop around the moon and come home, which will be the first time since December the 7th, 1972, when the last Saturn V was launched with Apollo 17 on board that went to the moon. That is a long time.
Wow.
I think there's no irony loss there in the timing, is there?
No.
Because it's been a long time. 50 years between moon landings. Okay, it's going to be slightly more than 50 years.
How much we did.
Yeah. In that short space of time from 69 to 72, and then nothing. Now, it doesn't mean obviously nobody went to space, but I mean the moon. I mean,
yeah. We definitely went to space.
Oh, we've definitely been to space. But yeah, it's one hell of a rocket, though, the SLS. Fantastically over budget, costing a small fortune to launch. But
4.1 billion per launch.
Yeah. It's an expensive bit of kit.
That's not a reusable it's not a reusable craft either, is it? That's
no.
Disposable.
It comes in slightly smaller as well, doesn't it, than the Saturn V? So I think it's just under 100
and
meters.
Starship.
Well, I was going to say that, yeah. So the SLS is just under 100 meters, 98.1. Saturn V was over about 110 meters. And yes, Elon Musk's Starship is 120 meters tall. And that's not where the comparisons end, is it? Because actually Starship will actually take be more powerful and be able to lift more cargo as well into space when it launches, isn't it?
Well, yeah, they've taken there's two slightly different approaches here. Obviously, other than one being disposable and one being reusable. But I think SLS in its biggest form is it the Block 2 cargo configuration, which
That's
isn't the one they've rolled out to the launch pad. That can send 46 tons to the moon. Well, Starship does it a bit differently. So Starship can do 100 tons to low Earth orbit, 21 tons to geostationary, but it's actually been designed to be refueled in orbit. So technically, you can take that 100 tons up to low Earth orbit, refuel, and send 100 tons onto the moon.
Which is kind of what needs to be done, isn't it? Because that was the whole premise originally, wasn't it, of having things like the ISS
Yep.
and Space Lab, those kind of and Mir. Was the point was it was envisaged that we'd have space station as a refueling point, wouldn't it? So you'd launch into space, you'd refuel or connect to it's the classic sci-fi movies, isn't it? You connect
To
to
a
a
big
bigger
rocket already there, and
yeah, and then you'd be able to go on to wherever it may be. Guessing that's going to be Mars is probably the most obvious target. Let's be honest,
yeah,
isn't
of
it?
course.
I still think in our lifetime there will be a Mars landing. I really do.
I think there will be.
Um,
Definitely.
I don't know whether or not that'll be, you know, the kind of
Manned.
manned maybe, but I think we will see, and I don't. Well, I think we will see like the Orion or whatever follows it, or a Starship
Yeah.
land on Mars to test it, do it, and come back.
Yeah.
Because the days of what they're envisaging, landing on Mars, astronauts from wherever it may be, then strolling over to the Pathfinders and the other
Yeah.
Vikings, and of course, taking the samples out, isn't it, and bringing them back. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
But first, obviously, is the moon. So the whole point of Orion is to get back to the moon
Get
to
back to the
test
moon.
and to build a habitat on the moon, to basically then use that as a launch pad as well, theoretically,
Yeah.
to Mars there as well. But yeah, Elon Musk definitely is chasing that. Starship isn't quite ready yet, though, is it? It's
No, it's not.
had
It's
its
a
own
little
fair
way
share
off.
of problems.
It has. But one thing I'm struggling to find, I couldn't find an actual current launch price uh, for Starship. So obviously we know it's $4.1 billion per launch for SLS. Couldn't find the current price for Starship, but Musk does expect it to, in the next 2 to 3 years, once they got things fine tuned and being reusable, it would cost just 10 million per launch.
And do you know
That's
what?
a
That's probably
tad
plausible.
different.
It is. And the whole thing about Starship, though, isn't it, is that it's a much bigger concept in terms of the crewed section, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
a different concept as opposed to the capsule of Orion. It's almost like the upper stage of the Starship would be the reusable and
yeah,
landing capability. It
yeah.
looks quite similar. If anybody's watched, what's the Mars film? There's a Mars film where um, they get stranded on Mars and they have to they not the Martian. There's another one where they have to send a team back to get it. It's got Gary Sinise in it. I can't think of the name of the film, but they've
I
got
don't
quite
know.
large of these kind of large rockets that sit there waiting to take off. A bit like the Starship mock-ups where they kind of sat there on these like landing feet.
Okay.
Yeah. What is that film? Yeah, the one with Mars. Mission to Mars. That's it. Mission to
Oh,
Mars. It's got
okay. Yeah.
Gary Sinise, Don Cheadle in it, and it's where they discover that the face on Mars, is actually,
Ah. Yeah.
it's aliens. But anyway, that's another story.
It's always aliens
Always aliens. But yeah, but
or
this is
DNS.
awesome. Yeah, aliens and DNS.
Yeah. One
But
of
no,
those.
it was definitely quite an awesome sight to see, and the pictures of the SLS sat on
Oh,
39B really do invoke the classic Age of Space, don't they?
they do. Yeah.
Those pictures. So I can't wait to see this take off. That is going to be an impressive sight. And again, America's return to the stars. Following the launch of the crewed missions with the Dragons, this is a momentous stage, I think, again for the American space program. Unlike the Russians, who are having some kind of fit, aren't they, at the moment? The head of Roscosmos.
Take
Still,
the man's microphone away and his Twitter
yeah,
account.
he's not a happy bunny. Yes. Anyway. So moving on then. Apple. Oh, Apple. So you may recall, if you've been listening to us for a little while, that Apple is having a bit of a fight with the Dutch government over
They are
um,
in-app
over
purchases.
in-app purchases for dating applications. Yes, dating applications, because that's the whole process of this law in the Netherlands around in-app purchases. Um, and they said that they would, comply with the ruling. They would add in the capabilities, but they haven't done it, and they've now been fined again. which
Again,
now, which means that they've now been fined a total of 45 million euros, which is the ninth time. And
yeah.
when they get to 10, uh, which
What
will
do they
be the
win?
legal cap of 50 million, um, they can't be fined anymore, can
Huh.
they?
This is rather convenient.
50 million to Apple is a drop in the ocean, is it not?
It's nothing. It's that. I mean, it doesn't. It can't take them very long to make that. Surely a day, maybe. Not even that.
I mean, so they were told, weren't they, way back early last year, that they had to comply. You know, they did it, but Apple, in classic Apple fashion, made it as hard as possible for it to be done.
Yeah.
And they still can't be doing it, and they've been fined another 5 million on top of it. So
But they
it's
have
just
submitted a new proposal, though, haven't they? But we don't know what's in the proposal yet.
no, it's just another proposal. It's going to go round in circles, isn't
I'm
it?
surprised they didn't just at that point go, on the very first thing. Well, here's just a 50 million. Let's call it quits.
We'll put it on the table. You just
And
take
we'll walk
out.
away. Yeah.
You just take out, the bits that you want. It's just nuts, isn't it? It's just it is. It's not. It's not a serious. This is not Apple are not being serious. Apple are just like rolling with it, aren't they? It's just like,
I mean, who came up with this 5 million a week fine for max of 50 million?
well, whoever in the Dutch government is getting a slap
They
for
hadn't
that,
heard of
because
Apple then, really, had they?
this is charity for them, isn't it? It's like
It's probably a tax write-off as well.
another 5 million to the Dutch government. Yep, fair enough. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Keep it going. Oh, all right, just good luck. Good to the Netherlands.
Yeah.
We say good luck, but that's it. Oh, okay, all right. Just get that out of the way then. So, Carl, do you remember Cyberpunk 77?
Oh boy, do I. That was a disappointment.
That game that we both got in our Steam libraries, but I couldn't tell you the last time I played it.
I actually paid full price for that one. It wasn't a Game Pass one, and that taught me, didn't it?
It taught me too. I went and bought it as well, and it had another like 60 like 60 gig update the other day.
Oh, did it? I don't have it installed anymore.
So I've still got it installed. I keep updating it. But yes, so Cyberpunk 77, which came out in 2020, somewhat would say early than it was probably meant to be, wasn't it?
Sony would say that when they delisted it from the store and gave people their
Yeah.
money back.
So if you've been living under a rock and you're wondering what the hell is this game, well, Cyberpunk 77 was a futuristic open world role playing game from the creators of the Witcher series,
Yep.
which was flawed to say the least on its release, wasn't it? In terms of capabilities, feature sets, playability. Yeah,
Resource hog, full of bugs, nasty bugs, game-ending bugs. Like one of the ones they just patched recently was there's a particular wall that if you touch, you instantly die.
brilliant. I love that. That's
Brilliant. I mean, how did that slip past Q&A?
I mean,
Why were you giving walls that kind of ability?
It has been. I mean, it has probably been patched over 100 gig, I think, in terms of the day.
Oh, easily.
But yeah, so it's a textbook example of how not to release a game, and which is really unfair because CD Projekt Red have fantastic back catalogue of games. Yeah, the Witcher series is their kind of ultimate attempt to that.
It is.
Which has spawned 3 series. It's spawned a mini game. It's got books. There's TV series, isn't there?
Quite enjoying the TV series.
Good for you. Good for you.
It's not watched, have you?
No, it doesn't. I love the game. I mean, The Witcher 3. Oh, I sunk so many hours into that. Just once you don't have to do the quest. You just walk around the world. It's awesome. Yeah. Well, they have announced what they call is a new entry into the Witcher world, isn't it? They haven't stated that it's The Witcher 4. They haven't said that it's a sequel to The Witcher 3. all they have said and is that it's a new game in the Witcher universe, or words to that effect, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which I think they post on, Twitter and other places, the Witcher logo, which is the wolf medallion, and it said,
Yeah.
a new saga begins. Of course, everybody instantly said, "Welcome to The Witcher 4," a bit like anytime Valve says anything, and
It's Half-Life 3.
it's Half-Life 3, yeah. But what they've stated though is they've now come out and said that they are moving away, though, aren't they, from the Red Engine,
Red Engine, yeah.
which I want to say plagued Cyberpunk 2077, and they're going to move to Carl.
Unreal Engine 5.
If you can't beat them, join them.
But interestingly, they're going to be aiding in the tech development of the Unreal Engine, aren't they? That's what they said.
Which I guess they've got a lot
Is
to
that good?
Well, it probably is, isn't it? Given what they do and their experience in building game engines, they probably have got a lot to offer here. And given their specialty is open worlds, probably this could be pretty good. And you think what you could give out? What was the recent the tech demo, the Matrix tech demo, wasn't there?
That was very cool. Yeah.
Imagine another. I mean, do you remember the Matrix game?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah.
That was great. Imagine if that had the open world playability of, say, The Witcher.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. Awesome. Just don't let CD Projekt Red do the QA.
Well, yeah. Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Yeah, I walked into that, didn't I?
I'm still wondering when we're going to get The Witcher 4 or whatever, because it took them 8 years to do Cyberpunk, and that wasn't actually ready, was it, on release? So maybe we'll see it in 2030.
Well, maybe so. Maybe maybe I'll be playing with my grandkids.
But mind you, I suppose if they're not having to build a new engine,
well, that might save them some time. Yeah,
I reckon it might see it maybe 4 years.
Yeah, I was going to say that might save them quite a chunk of time. But again, whether it will be The Witcher 4, I don't know, because they said that the storyline with Geralt was done.
This is a new saga, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it could be another character, but we'll see. But yeah, definitely exciting news and one that I'm keen to. So then, Carl, there is no tech rant rumor mill this week, because we thought that the Lapsus situation
couldn't find any rumors either.
No, the Lapsus situation was also quite big. We wanted to cover that in detail, but I thought what we'd talk about, and kind of have a bit more of a light-hearted approach, was a kind of a recap on Star Trek Discovery season 4, which is now wrapped.
Yep.
And of course, Picard season 2, which is now 3 episodes in, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, without too much of a spoiler, what's your view on Discovery season 4 then, as it's now done and dusted?
This is an interesting one. I think it was a bit different from the other seasons. It was I want to say it was a bit slower, and quite a kind of classic Next Generation vibe to it. A lot of diplomacy, happy feelings, trying to fix the entire universe, kind of thing. I say it was a bit slow. I still really enjoyed it though. I know you had a lot of questions. I think you might think too much about what's going on. I just sat back and enjoyed it.
I have that problem. I just question everything. It's like,
just disengage the brain, Jane. Just enjoy it.
I can't do it. It doesn't work.
I can see you sitting there with a whiteboard trying to map it all out. No, it just doesn't work.
I mean, So I think this series of Discovery kind of invoked for me elements of Voyager. With new species, new projects. It had, it flashed back to the original series where they crossed the galactic barrier.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
There's whole areas here, and I think also the character development. We've really seen Burnham come full circle in her life, and the same with the other characters as well. We're starting to see romantic interests with Saru. And people, the other characters, people like Detmer and that as well. And, so really have rounded out. I think now with 4 series in, Discovery has got a place up there alongside the classic and well-established Star Trek series, don't you think?
I think it has, and I think they've set the scene nicely for season 5. I imagine it going kind of a bit more traditional Star Trek and go off and exploring the galaxy and maybe beyond, the galactic barrier more. if they can do that. They beamed into what was it? What century are they in? The 32nd century.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So they can rewrite whatever they want, really.
So yeah, they're kind of free to do that, but they beamed there and had a lot of issues in that century, and they fixed a large part of them. I don't want to give too much away, so I think it kind of sets the scene for season 5, maybe do a bit more exploring.
Well, this is it, isn't it? The Federation re-exists now, doesn't it? Um,
It does, yeah.
After the series 3 ending, which we could, the burn and all that. And it is back. The Federation is back. There's been some trials and tribulations that are being talked about a lot in this series, and what comes from that. But what we're seeing here, as you say, is a kind of for them to go off and explore, and do what Star Trek does best, which is have episodic storylines, single contained adventures, but obviously have a wider story arc above that.
And I
And I
think it
think
could do with some more of those, yeah, those kind of self-contained ones. That because I said season 4 was a bit slow in places because it was all really one big story arc. So yeah, if we could have some more of those contained ones, I think that would help things along.
like the classic Star Trek Next Generation stuff, where you'd have a story a week kind of thing, but then
Occasionally, the double part episode, wouldn't you?
yeah, there'd be a thread underneath, of the long term story. But yeah, there'd be there'd be kind of this week they beamed down to planet XYZ and uh, did whatever they needed to do there, wasn't it? And rescued it, and then off they beamed next week to somewhere else, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like all of that. So yeah, I think nicely done. And yeah, I can see this going on. I think definitely there's probably life in it for a few more series. Whether they'll see what 6 or 7 series out. What was TNG 8 series?
Oh, I can't remember now.
I mean, nearly 10 years basically, wasn't it?
It was,
Voyager
yeah.
ran for what 96 to 02 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So again, there's definitely room for that. But alongside that, of course, we have had Picard series season 2 kick off as well. And again, that's well, if Discovery has ventured into new territory in the 32nd century to basically have blank pages, Picard seems to be trying to rewrite the past. No pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I really, really enjoyed the first season. I think just because this is just kind of pulls all those nostalgia strings from my childhood. It's like reliving my childhood of Next Generation. There are so many, little references everywhere that if you watch Next Generation, you pick up on, and I've just thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it. But that's because that's been my childhood. Whilst my wife's watched it and she much prefers Discovery. Picard, she doesn't really get at the moment.
I think you're right. I think Picard plays heavily on the nostalgia of TNG.
Oh, they know they're doing it as well, and I fall hook, line, and sinker for it.
Yeah, we are the main demographic for that. Anybody who watched TNG and the films and Voyager is the main audience that they are targeting with Picard, as you say, because it plays into all that. The characters are there. You've got Picard, you've got Seven of Nine. You had in the last one, you had Riker, you had Troy, you had
the Forge, Data, and everyone.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right there. And again, it has started off with a blockbuster of a kickoff, wasn't it? Series 2.
There are several big characters here from the past. I don't want to give them away because we'll just spoil it. And I think you need to see them for yourselves if you're going to watch it. But yeah,
definitely.
They're the ones I've been missing and waiting for.
Yeah, I think so. The story arc, though, I think we can say is a time travel arc. That's easy.
It is,
fair to say.
But even the way they do that is like the history books.
It's a very interesting spin, isn't it, on what's happening here in terms of the spin there. But yeah, very good. Getting off there. And what we're also seeing is just to kind of, I guess, close out then, is we've had the first trailers drop for Strange New Worlds, haven't we? Which comes out in May. And Strange New Worlds is going to start the Enterprise on its first 5-year journey, isn't it?
Yeah, it's maiden voyages with Pike.
So this is kind of the real the pre-storylines before the original series, and setting us up to taking, effectively teeing up Kirk, isn't it? And going from
Yeah.
there. I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a great show. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. I'm not sure what they're showing with this one. The trailer looked good, but I already heard that I think he's only around for a season 1, and then season 2 there's someone else in it. So, like you say, is that going to be Kirk? And are we then treading on? I don't
The
know. Do
original
we want
series,
to
aren't we? Then
ruin the original series with someone being recast as Kirk? I'm nervous about this one.
I am. I think if you think about the storyline of Kirk, isn't it? Is that um, the original series starts, but though he was in charge before the original series started, wasn't it? Because he took over from Pike, and
Yeah.
there was a whole backstory, wasn't there, of what happened with Pike, which kind of hung over with like a bad smell.
But I'd like to see more of that, and the relationship they built. It played on it in the new Star Trek movies, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Pike and Kirk and a relationship there. So it'd be good, I think, to know more about that and see that play out. So I don't know, but then are we going to have a third person playing Kirk? Because obviously you're not going to have Chris Pine, are you? It's
No.
probably too big to put in
Well,
there.
they've already announced the Kirk actor.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
I must have missed that one.
Yeah, they did the new Kirk. Because there was a piece of the day where William Shatner, Paul Wesley, who was in the Vampire Diaries, he will join in season 2. And
Okay.
Shatner
Paul Wesley.
apparently,
Oh, him.
Shatner basically said, good luck. You know,
Sarcastically, or
no, I think it was like congratulations, good luck on becoming,
okay. So, but this is now a third Kirk we've got.
well, yeah, but you can't have William Shatner, that wouldn't work.
No, it's not. I mean, it would have been great to put Chris Pine in there, I think.
Well, yeah, definitely,
But I don't know. Oh, yeah, this one gets me apprehensive.
Why is that then?
Just because it's touching very much and looks like it'd be stepping on the toes of the original series.
Okay, I see. But yeah, I think it's all to play for now, isn't it? With that, and I guess just to finish off the TV for tonight, then is The Boys season 3 comes out in July, isn't it? I think we were saying we worked out.
Yeah,
That is looking phenomenal. They've kind of
I do love the boys.
I say they have massively deviated from the comic books now, which isn't a
Yeah,
bad thing, but and again takes brutality to a whole new level. So I'm looking forward to that.
yeah,
But yes, that's something we'll be picking up in the summer. But yeah, I cannot wait for that.
yeah.
Cool. Well, I
Definitely
think
looking
it's probably
forward to
a
that.
good place for us to stop here tonight. We've
Yep.
gone a bit long over, but there was a lot to talk about. So we'll be back next week for episode 81. I can't believe that. You can, of course, find us online at Weekly Tech Rant at Weekly Tech Rant. I couldn't get the words out again. What's wrong with me? On Twitter. We post all of our show notes and all of the links to all the stories we talk about on our webpage at techrant.online. And as always, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. So tell your friends, leave a comment, and spread the word. So with that, I've been Jay.
I've been Carl. Have a good evening, all.